Hello. I decided that there's some, it wasn't really incomplete or is badly done, the last version of this, so I'm doing the whole thing over again. And I'm going to set up the phone thing on your Linux, which is the only phone thing I know of, which is, it's okay. So let's try to run it using the pulseaudio wrapper, padsp. Whoops. Can't do this. Okay, so here we are, and let's go over some of the settings here. You see audio device OSS, DSP. Let's see. Latency, just say latency 75 what is it? Microseconds. Echo noise reduction off, whatnot. Okay, so we'll just go, and what I'm going to do now is I press connect on my iPhone, and it's going to hopefully show up here. I have to turn Bluetooth on just a sec. Okay, so let's call my my thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a message to myself, and once again see it. It's a nice. The reason I like this one is it has some good properties, and also it's, you don't have to set it up. You don't have to set any settings. It's just there. You have to set volume. The only thing you have to set is select this thing, and volume is USB device. It's got some sort of digital analog to digital box thing in there. So yeah. So let's get going here.
Matthew Safety.
Please enter the destination mailbox or at the tone, please record your message. At the end of your message, press pound. To cancel this message, press star.
Okay, so here we are testing the system here. This is a microphone that has nothing to do with the sound card. It's just a USB input microphone. And the idea is that that the pulse audio wrapper has mapped the defaults into sort of a composite OSS device that it's feeding to the original program over here. So I'm about to leave this message, and that's it.
To send the message, press 1. To review message sent. Main menu. To check your wireless voice message, press 1. To send first new message.
Okay, so here we are testing the system here. This is a microphone. It has nothing to do with the sound card. It's just a USB input microphone. And the idea is that that the pulse audio wrapper has mapped the defaults into sort of a composite OSS device that it's feeding to the original program over here. So I'm about to leave this message. And
to erase this message, press 7. To reply to it, press 8.
Message erased.
Message erased. End of messages. Main menu. To check your wireless. Thank you for calling. Goodbye.
Okay, so I'm going to call that working. That works. So once I installed Fedora Core 36, unfortunately I found two big problems. Is my Wacom mouse here doesn't really work properly, and it usually worked properly. And I've seen this sort of problem before when I install Fedora Core, that there's something weird about Wacom mice. They're not considered really mice. They're maybe some sort of auxiliary device, and so it didn't work properly. But you can select your sort of like I don't really understand it, but there's some sort of like underlying system, and it could either be Xorg or Wayfarer, and it's usually Wayfarer these days, but you can change it back to Xorg in etc gdm custom.conf. Then you can change it to either Xorg or Wayfarer. So it really doesn't function properly in Wayfarer at all, but in Xorg it does function properly. But there's this issue where when you start up, when you log in, the mouse doesn't appear. It's doing something, but you don't see the mouse, right? So you can do things with the mouse, it like does stuff, but you don't see it. So what I found out through some experimentation is if you unload the Wacom driver, and then you load it back up again, it will appear again. I think the problem is this situation really only applies to it when it's in a login state and not when it's in a running state, so that if you unload that Wacom module, put it in, it's considered a legitimate device at that point, and or whatever codes make it not work. I think it's got some sort of attribute that says that it shouldn't be a pointer at the startup. Anyway, so what I did was I made now I've made two ways to do it, so that when it starts up, when you log in, it either automatically will try to replace this, and if that doesn't work, you can press some keys on your keyboard using a keyboard shortcut. So basically it's the same thing, except that one of them has permissions for, or one of the first of the scripts has permissions for myself, the other one has permissions for root. If I log in as me and press those buttons. And the other difference is that if you're logging in through AutoStart, it's going to do it through AutoStart. It has like a delay to do this after it's done certain things, and the delay is longer. So for one delay is like 2 seconds, and the other one's delay is 14 seconds. But it has to do with this stuff on the left-hand side here. I've replaced my password with, or the literal password, so there's no problem with that particular password, although it wouldn't really help people because it's mostly firewalled here. I should also mention that I made sort of a package of what I need with the desktop file, but the desktop here file is not supposed to be here. It's supposed to be an etc xdg, I think, auto start, and then that becomes something that's executed every time you log in. Also, I thought maybe this problem would be solved by recompiling the Wacom driver, which is the source, the primary interface is the Wacom driver. So I recompiled it, but it's not really making a change. It happens, the problems happen upstream, but it was more solid. So in this script, I included the newly compiled Wacom driver over the system one, which I included here. The other big problem was the hands-free thing I used for my phone. Basically, is how you can use your iPhone on a computer, and kind of a spin-off was how I could record. The way I had done that in the past was not working on this version of Linux, because the thing that hooks in kind of the new kind of system sound thing didn't hook into the really classic OSS module thing, using padsp, which is supposed to be a pulse audio to OSS wrapper. So what happened was, I don't know why it wasn't included in this version of pulse audio utils. Maybe if it was broken for a while, they didn't install it. Maybe there's some other issue, but it is in their source code. So I downloaded their source code and compiled it, and I was kind of expecting I just need the executable and everything would work, but then it wanted two libraries, so it wanted access to two libraries, and I wanted to put them in my local, not the main system stuff, but in the local folder stuff. So I think it's okay, because it's all that stuff is kind of dealing with the local things, and the actual library version is newer. But here it is, and it's in user local lib64. Pulse audio. Okay, so the padsp program requires these two libraries, the Pulse Common and the Pulse DSP. The actual padsp program I put in user local here. So things having to do with its native system will kind of look in the user lib, not the user local lib. Also, it's version 15 or something. This is version 16. I think it checks the version. So I'm thinking they're not hitting each other, but it was a little bit risky. It's kind of like I reduplicated the libraries in two different places. Here in user lib 64 Pulse, this is the one that comes with the system itself, and you can see it's similar, but they are a different version. I'm hoping that the two of them won't collide, but it does seem to work properly. I was going to say I did have it kind of working without padsp, just working, but I couldn't record anything, and I tried to make some way I could be accessing the device and could record it, so there has to be like some duplicate device, and the also modules were in different slots. They have to be persistent when you say certain things at a certain location. So luckily one night I was just looking at their source. I noticed they still have this in there. I know that I was kind of looking at the source and saying maybe I could kind of do something with this, but it's very thick reading. It's very top, it's very advanced coding. So that wasn't looking very good. So I'm very glad that he is able to just compile that and just sort of put it to the side, and hopefully it'll leave my system alone and it'll just work, because it does just work, as I just demonstrated. Also, some other problems I had was the GNOME extensions. I had some issues with the GNOME extensions just turning off for no particular reason, and here they are here. These things up here, I usually use it mostly for this like sensors thing on my so I know if I'm overheating, anything's weird's going on there. That just turned off, and I had to have some sort of in my computer utilities so that I don't have to use the web browser to turn it on. Then it just turned on, so I don't really understand what the problem is there, but it was off for a while, and this utility turned it back on. I can't remember what it's called. I'd have to review my notes. I always have to sort of take notes to understand what I did to get to wherever I'm at currently. Also, there's some issue in the virtual manager, because I was trying to use, I've been running the 32-bit version of Windows, and there's some sort of memory limitation with there's two sort of motherboard models, and one of them gives you 3 gigs, one gives you 2 gigs. For some reason they don't give me 4 gigs like you really want. I wanted the 32-bit so I could use certain functions of the sound card that only work at 32-bit. So I kind of compromised and let it go at 3 gigs. But anyway, when you change the models, it doesn't properly change certain things, so that used to be okay in Fedora Core 34, but anyway, so I just deleted some references, and it seems to work properly, so I'm not really too concerned.